Imagine you are in a situation where something went wrong, and someone needs to decide if you acted responsibly. How do they measure that? What standard do they use to judge your actions or the actions of another in a legal context? In the eyes of the law, a reasonable person is a fictional, idealized individual used as a standard to determine if someone acted negligently or prudently. This standard helps courts decide whether a person's conduct was acceptable under specific circumstances, expecting a level of ordinary care and common sense. The core reason behind this concept is to establish an objective benchmark for behavior, rather than relying on subjective individual beliefs. It represents how an ordinary, sensible person, with typical intelligence and prudence, would likely act in a similar situation. The law doesn't expect perfection, but it does expect a certain baseline of thoughtful conduct to avoid harm to others. This reasonable person isn't always the same, though, as their characteristics can subtly shift depending on the specific legal context. For example, a reasonable doctor is expected to act with the care and skill of other reasonably prudent doctors in the same field, which is a higher standard than a reasonable layperson. Similarly, a reasonable child is often judged by the standard of a child of similar age, intelligence, and experience, unless they are engaging in adult activities like driving. Understanding this standard means recognizing that your actions, or inactions, could be evaluated against what a hypothetical careful individual would have done. When you are assessing a situation, ask yourself what a prudent person would foresee, consider, and do in that moment. This includes looking both at your knowledge of the risks involved and the potential consequences of your choices. This legal concept becomes particularly important in personal injury lawsuits, contract disputes, and even everyday interactions where someone's duty of care is questioned. It is the yardstick against which conduct is measured to determine legal responsibility. By understanding the reasonable person, you gain insight into the fundamental principles that underpin fairness and accountability in our legal system, helping you navigate situations with greater awareness.